Hi everyone, you are Reddit expose there, enjoy watching.
We met on Allston Christmas, the weekend when every lease in Boston seems to end at once and half the neighborhood's furniture migrates to the curb. I was there for a bookshelf and left with a dented lamp that still worked if you jiggled the switch. She was kneeling by a pile of kitchen stuff, debating whether a cast iron pan with no handle could be saved. Put a bolt through it, I said, tapping the empty eyelet. Washer on both sides. She looked up. Strands of hair stuck to her forehead in the August heat. You sound like you've actually done that. I sound like you too, I admitted. She laughed. Maya, if your lamp catches fire, tell me, I'll feel personally responsible. I didn't text about the lamp. I texted to ask if she wanted coffee. We met at Pavement on Brighton Avenue, drank iced anything, and watched new tenants circle the block with U-Hauls like spaceships looking for docking. Maya was a second-year resident at Beth Israel, which meant nights, plots, shifts that slid sideways. I was a UX writer for a little health tech company in the Seaport that thought move fast was a personality. Our schedules touched like gears that almost mesh. We started with small routes, blue bikes along the Esplanade, a stop at the footbridge to watch rowers soup dumplings in Chinatown. When our paychecks and patients lined up mamalays on a slow Sunday, Shed slept. We learned which red line announcements were lies delays due to a disabled train at Park Street, and which were mercy the next train to Alewife is now arriving. She kept the spare hoodie at my place. I learned to whisper at 6 a.m. while she face-planted into the couch after nights. The apartment we found in Somerville had floors that sloped toward the radiator and a front door that slammed like a judge. We put felt pads on the chair legs, bought a second-hand sofa off Facebook, argued about whether 6-8F was cruel or adulthood, and taped a list on the fridge titled Things That Keep Us From Fighting. Label leftovers. Text if you're staying. Don't talk about schedules when hungry. The cracks didn't arrive as fights. They accumulated like snow against a fence. Her I can nap before 7 hit my emergency sprint review at 5. I slipped back into late night slack because East Coast, West Coast teams never agree on the end of the day. She started picking up extra nights to save for loans. We push plans to after this rotation and then to when the Green Line extension finally opens. It opened the plans closing parenthesis in March, after a winter of shoveling around the space-saver lawn chairs and pretending the red line would be hate if we believe. Maya matched for a fellowship in San Diego. She told me sitting on our kitchen counter, heels drumming the cabinet. It's a year, she said. Maybe 2. I don't want to ask you to come. I also don't want to ask you to wait. I don't want you to ask, I said, and surprised both of us with how calm it sounded. We tried the pretend version of long distance for a month, facetimes across time zones, photos of palm trees and the Charles. To lag 8-hour jokes, the conversation shrank to logistics. One night I typed, I miss we were tired in the same room, and deleted it. We ended at Logan in Terminal C because Boston likes symbolism heavy. She checked a duffel I carried the lamp, which I'd rewired so it no longer sparked if the switch wobbled. We hugged like people who finally understood that loving someone doesn't mean making a geography problem vanish. She said, "You're good. In the way residents say you're stable." I said, "So are you." It wasn't cinema. It was adult. After, the apartment felt like a set after a play. I moved the couch 2 inches, took the hoodie off the hook and folded it into a bag, left the things that keep us from fighting list up longer than I needed to. I made an intake appointment at Cambridge Health Alliance's outpatient clinic sliding scale Tuesday afternoon and said out loud to a stranger that I turn care into control if no one stops me. I joined the Somerville Mutual Aid Slack. On a wet Saturday I built a take 1, leave 1 shelf by the mailboxes with scrap plywood and an L bracket. The first week, someone left a roll of quarters with a rubber band and a note. Return 3 found under machine. The second week, the roll was someone else's rubber band. Were quieted when I started saying, "I'll answer in the morning," and then actually did. I rewrote our cold error messages into sentences that admitted there were humans at both ends. Something broke on our side caused fewer tickets than error for 100. At the end of stand-up, I tried a 1-minute thanks for the unheroic the link that saved an hour. The clear comment because heroism had fried both of us. Winter receded the way it does here, sudden puddles, then a day in March where you smell wet dirt for the first time. I replaced the front door's hinge pin and installed a slow closer so it stopped slamming. The downstairs neighbor slid a cart under my door that said simply, "Thank you for the quiet." I taped it inside the cabinet with the tea. One night at Trader Joe's in Cambridgeport, I saw her in the freezer aisle. New haircut. The same posture that says the day has been long. We did the Boston thing. Hello, how's work? How's sleep? Standing by the pizza boxes. You look steady, she said. You too. I said, and meant it. We didn't linger. We both had ice cream melting. Spring pulled me outside. I volunteered at a fix-it clinic in Union Square, explaining why a washer might save a wobbly stool. I printed a one-page flyer for our building titled Winter Without Panic. Salt by the stairs in November. Remember, the arrow on the filter points toward the fan. If the heat fails after hours, call 311, then text the group. The manager rolled her eyes and let me hang it anyway. When the first nor'easter hit, the hallway felt more like a plan than a complaint. I met Anna on the 4th floor when her smoke alarm chirped at 2 a.m. And she didn't own a ladder. She worked the evening shift at a non-profit clinic and used her oven as storage because, in Boston, you either cook or heat. You don't have room for both. We became the kind of neighbors who exchange soup, hex keys, and leave each other notes like, "Do you have duct tape? The good kind." And yes, there's a good kind. We all rotated through small acts. A motion sensor light in the stairwell that kept people from guessing. A laminated card near the laundry that said, "If you're short on quarters, take a couple, return when you can." A shared Google sheet for who can let the plumber, so no one had to miss work all day. No speeches, just fewer avoidable bangs. In June, during a red line delayed that made the platform feel like a sauna with signage, I caught myself writing short steps count in my notes app and laughed because it sounded like an inspirational poster. But later, watching a kid read a crosswalk sign, it helped draft for the school we see you. Cross quietly, and then actually look both ways. It didn't feel corny. It felt like a tiny piece of the city had learned how to talk to itself. Every now and then Mayo would send a photo sun crushed into the Pacific at an hour Boston never sees, a desert plant blooming like an accident. Once she texted, matched a patient's family to housing feels like cheating at a game where the rules are bad. I wrote, "Proud of you," and put the phone face down. Some threads don't need knots to be complete. We bumped into each other one more time outside Porter Square Bokes. She held up a paperback. "I think you'd like this," she said. Then added, "We don't have to pretend to be different people to be kind." "Good," I said, "I'm terrible at pretending." We hugged, brief and right, and moved on. By fall, my apartment had the light right and the nose right. The lamp from Allston Christmas rewired, reliable through a warm circle on the table. The door closer sigh, instead of shouting. The things that keep us from fighting list had been replaced by a smaller one that said simply, "Water the plant twos, do not email after 8, call mom Sundays." My therapist asked how I knew I was okay. "When I can choose enough and not feel like I'm failing," I said, and surprised myself again with the calm. On a wet Tuesday night, the power hiccuped, then the building settled. The motion light caught Anna on the landing. She lifted a thermos at me like a toast. The mutual aid shelf had a new item, earplugs in a jar labeled for vacuums at night and also life. Someone had taped a pen to the complaint form in the lobby so you didn't have to go back upstairs. These were the kinds of wins I wanted to keep chasing. Sometimes people ask if I'm seeing anyone. Sometimes the answer is not really. Sometimes we're on soup terms. I have a neighborhood, a door that closes quietly, and a job where I'm allowed to write "We messed up" in production. It isn't a montage, it's a maintenance log. It suits me. On mornings, when I take the red line, I stand at Davis and listen to the robot voice echo through the tunnel. The next train to Alewife is now arriving. Doors open, people shuffle, and for a second it's all timing and small choices. I step in, grab the pole, and feel the car slide forward. I'm here. For now, it's enough. I didn't see Mia again for months, not really. I saw her name at the bottom of a grant announcement my friend forwarded, and once in the background of someone's story from an opening in Bushwick. A blue jacket I was 90% sure was hers. A laugh I remembered like a ringtone. I didn't pause the video. I let it play, then put my phone face down and kept stirring a pot of soup. The apartment got easier to live in once I stopped arranging it like a museum of what we had. I moved the desk away from the window so the heat wouldn't fog my laptop. I finally replaced the buzzing bathroom fan. The green lamp it rescued from a sidewalk pile got a new core and a short note on masking tape by the switch. 2 clicks max. I was trying to keep instructions simple for machines and for myself. On Thursdays I volunteered at the community tech night in the library basement. People brought in stubborn printers and wobbly chairs and, "Is this email real?" questions. I wrote labels in thick marker. Tower. Wi-Fi. Return this wrench. It turns out half the panic goes away when you can see a name on a cable. I also started a boring ritual that saved me. Friday at 7 p.m. 30 minutes of no screens. I made tea, sat on the floor, listened to the building breathe, pipes knocking, boots on the stairs, doors closing properly because it installed the closers back in February. The first week I felt ridiculous, like I was trying to be a person who meditates. By the fourth week, I realized I wasn't meditating. I was noticing. That was enough. One wet Saturday, I ran into Mia at the hardware store, the owl with those cheap plastic organizers for screws that never stay sorted. She was holding a pack of felt pads and a cart of picture hooks. "Hey," she said, surprised but not startled. "You still here?" "Yeah," I said. "You, for now. The non-profit's piloting something in Sunset Park." She pointed at the felt pads. "Knows diplomacy." I lifted the box of bulbs in my hand. "Truce via lighting." We smiled. No inventory of mistakes, no heavy silences. She asked about work. I told her I'd switched teams and was writing microcopy because it made me feel useful, changing error 500 to something broke on our side. "Try again in a bit." She said she liked that. I asked about her building. She said the super finally fixed the front lock after 3 complaints and 1 letter that started with "Thank you for doing this." We'd rub off on each other more than I'd known. At the register, she shifted her bag to one shoulder. "I kept the kettle," she said, almost apologizing. "I kept the colander," I said. "We're even." We walked out together into a drizzle that couldn't make up its mind. At the corner she nodded at the crosswalk sign, said "Good to see you," and meant it. I did too. We didn't hug. The light changed. We crossed on different diagonals. Back home, I screwed the bulbs into the hallway fixture and watched the light turn warm instead of interrogational. I wrote a small card for the corkboard by the mailboxes. Quiet hours 10 p.m. 8 a.m. Close doors gently text before drilling thanks -3 billion. Someone drew a heart next to gently. Someone else added salt by the stairs in winter. These tiny edits felt like the right size of progress. Work smoothed out the same way. I drafted a 1-pager for the team. What you don't have to know by Friday. It listed keyboard shortcuts, the last 5 years of release history, and the middle names of anyone in leadership. At the bottom I put, "Ask early." "I don't know yet" is a complete sentence. The juniors started saying it out loud, and nobody died. Spring pretended to arrive, then backed out for a week, then arrived again. I built a makeshift Herceracenthal box when wildfire smoke rolled in one morning, all duct tape and filters and good intentions. The neighbor's kid drew a face on it with a dry erase marker and named it Hummer. It hummed all night. I slept. There's a line I wrote on a sticky note and taped above my desk. "Fix the small thing you can reach." Some days it's a wobbly chair at the library. Some days it's a sentence that keeps a customer from feeling stupid. Some days it's my impulse to send a midnight text I don't need to send. I put the phone down, reached for a screwdriver instead. The last piece of unfinished business with Mia turned out to be a scarf I'd boxed and forgotten. I mailed it with a short card. Found this while labeling stuff. "Travel well." No PS, no callback number. A week later, a postcard returned. A stoop, potted plants. The words "Thanks for the label." That was our language, short, accurate, kind. Tonight the building is quiet in the way I used to think meant nothing is happening. Now I hear a lot inside it. The elevator stopping on 2. The refrigerator's soft exhale. The neighbor practicing a scale and getting it right on the 3rd try. The green lamp does its job without drama. I set the timer for pasta and checked the door closer once, like a superstition that turned into maintenance. If you're looking for the swelling strings, there aren't any. What I have is a shelf where the hex keys live, a folder of letters that start with "Thank you for doing this," and a city that keeps teaching me that forward can look like a smaller circle. I switch the lamp off, then on again, just to feel the click under my finger. I tell the room the sentence I've trained myself to say at the end of a day I didn't try to save or waste. "I'm here." The door takes its soft breath and closes the way I set it to, steady and showy. Enough. A week later the building lost power for an hour, the kind of outage that makes everyone open their doors and look down the hall like ship passengers after a bump. I grabbed the extension cord and the little battery lantern from my closet and put both on the mutual shelf by the elevator. Mark from 3A showed up with a thermos. The new couple into D brought a phone charger shaped like a tiny brick. I taped a paper sign to the wall: "Charge here, 15 minutes each," and underneath it, almost out of habit, "Thanks for sharing." No speeches, no heroics. People took turns, murmured, returned cables. A kid left a fist-sized dinosaur on the shelf as collateral. When the lights clicked back, he retrieved it solemnly, like signing for a package. Later that night I wrote a short quick start for the building, where the breakers are, who has the ladder, the number for non-emergency heat complaints. A one-line script for landlords that starts with "Thank you for doing this" by slid copies under doors. In the morning, someone had added a line in neat block letters: "Salt in the stairwell, bottom landing." The right kind of graffiti. Work picked up and became less sharp. I kept sneaking kindness into the edges of the interface, ducking "we get it" into empty states, swapping invalid for "doesn't look right." My manager forwarded a customer note that said our app felt less like being scolded. I printed the line and taped it next to my sticky note: "Fix the small thing you can reach." Spring finally committed. I took my bike to the shop, then walked home through the farmer's market with a bunch of tulips I didn't pretend were for anyone else. The green lamp caught them. It did the job of making them look deliberate. On a Saturday in May, the library hosted a swap table. No money, just labels. I brought a spare kettle, not hers, and a stack of masking tape flags. A woman traded me a book of short essays for a surge protector. An older man asked for help phrasing a note to his neighbor about the laundry times. We found the sentence together. "How could we switch to afternoons? I can offer Tuesdays. Thank you." He read it once, nodded, and said it sounded like something he could say out loud. On my way out, I checked the community board. The scarf postcard from Mia had been thumbtacked there, probably by me, probably on a day I wanted to remember that tidy endings exist. I took it down, folded it once, put it in my pocket, and walked into a sky that finally looked like it meant it. I don't know if I'll fall in love like that again. I don't treat that as a problem to solve. There's a person I split soup with sometimes, and we don't force the future to show itself on command. I have a building where doors close without drama, a job where a sentence can make someone's day lighter by a millimeter, and a city that keeps rewarding the unglamorous version of care. Tonight, the timer dings. The pasta is done. I drain it in the colander that stayed, rinse the pot that left and came back in another shape, wipe a ring of water off the counter because I'm trying to be the kind of person who leaves fewer ghosts. I take one last lap: lamp, stove, window, latch. The hallway is still. The door closer takes its soft breath and seals the room behind me the way I said it, too steady, unshowy enough. I lock up and say the line that's become a kind of key, more for me than for any door. I'm here. 2 months after the outage, summer arrived the way it usually does here, one honest thunderstorm, and suddenly, everyone is negotiating box fans and window units. I printed a one-page heat plan for the building and slid it into the folder on the mutual shelf. Before 90F, check hallway windows. Close west side by noon water station. Pitcher plus cups in the lobby. Return the pitcher cooling corner. Chair by the outlet. Fan on low. 10-minute limit mark from 3A. Added a Spanish column with a pen. The couple in to D dragged down a spare fan. Someone taped a note above the plug: "Don't move this outlet, wheelchairs use it." That was better than any policy. Work got busier in a way that didn't feel like a threat. I finished a plain language pass on our error states, then wrote a 2-page house style, and people are tired. It had boring rules I wish more apps followed. Start with the action. Don't scold. Give an exit. Customer support sent one of those emails that could make you corny. People are saying the app talks like a person. I stuck it under the magnet by my desk. Keep the verbs, lose the drama. Weekends I tried to earn my rent. I organized a tiny fix-it-ar in the lobby. Felt pads for chair legs, a real screwdriver instead of a butter knife, a tube of silicone for the drafty back door. Mr. L from 5A, who once ripped down every notice, showed up in a cardigan and, without being asked, started writing dates on the corners of our signs. Remove by 08/31. He handed me the marker like he'd passed a test. I kept seeing the person I split soup with. Their name is Rowan. We learned to plan around the job that eats your evening and the brain that shuts down at 9. A rule emerged without a meeting: if it's about the other person's tools, ask first. I taped a small binder clip to my spare key and pressed it into Rowan's palm. "It's just a clip," I said, "not a stapler." They laughed like they knew the whole backstory, which they do. Now, the city did what it does, reminded us that safety is mostly a boring habit. FNI put out a lithium battery bulletin after a fire across the avenue. I trimmed the PDF into 2 paragraphs and a checklist, translated what I could with help from Tadi, and slid it into our folder. Store in UL-listed boxes, no charging in the hall. Don't daisy chain power strips. Two couriers knock to show me their batteries, like report cards. We read the labels together and high-fived the certification stamp. Mia sent one message in July. A photo of a market stall full of scarves, the catch-in new place. Same hands. I wrote back looks good, and put the phone face down. It landed like weather noticed. Accepted. Moved through. One Friday a summer storm hit sideways, and the basement took it personally. Water came under the door in a clear sheet. We had a routine now. I wedged the mop bucket to de-tape the threshold. Mark called Miguel our super before anyone typed a paragraph about it. Upstairs, Rowan cooked pasta and texted extra towels. At 9 the rain gave up. At 9:15 someone slid a card into the folder. Next time, door sweep before August. It felt like the building had hired a quiet brain we all share. I met two new interns at work who asked the question juniors always ask after the laptop is issued. What's the secret? I drew a box on the whiteboard, wrote what you don't need to know this month, and filled it. Every keyboard shortcut, release name since 2018, the private Slack jokes of the data team. Then a second box, what makes people breathe, deadlines with clocks, links over lore, a sentence that says thank you. They took photos like I was giving away passwords. Maybe I was. August brought smoke. We built the Corsi Rosenthal box in the hallway from Merv Filters and a box fan. Rowan labeled the duct tape with a date Mr. L initialed it, like a notary of air. People lingered in the lobby longer, speaking in that hush you get in museums and churches, the kind that admits other people have lungs too. On a cooler night, Rowan and I sat on the stoop with 2 bowls of soup and a too-ripe peach. The street was its usual evening. Strollers, scooters, someone hauling a dresser with just optimism and a strap. Rowan bumped their knee against mine. You're good at getting to the point, they said. I pretended to be modest and failed. It's practice, I said, and a folder. September tried to take all of it away for a week. Reorg rumors at work, a neighbor fight about bikes in the hallway, a letter from the management company that sounded like it had been translated from Martian. I wrote a single paragraph in the building chat. Meeting Wednesday. Lobby, 7:30. Bring a specific ask can the smallest solution you can live with. It was the kind of sentence that either saves your night or gets you yelled at. It saved our night. We left with 2 decisions. Hooks inside apartments for bikes, library loaner drills available, and a single cork board labeled house stuff only. Mr. L pinned up the first card. Verify. L5A. He underlined it. Twice. Rowan started keeping a toothbrush at my place. I moved the hex keys to a lower shelf without making a speech about it. We gave each other the kind of updates that don't chase reassurance. Made the train. Ate real lunch. Need silence tonight. It felt like a working system. Friendly defaults. Human error tolerated. One morning, I stopped at the library to restock the mutual shelf folder and found a copy of our quick start guide tucked behind the cookbooks, edges worn. Someone else's handwriting in the margins. At HPD in winter. Translation help call to D. I smiled at the idea of our hallway document doing outreach on its own. In October, the app shipped the last of my talk like a person work. The support team sent cupcakes and a note that read, "You made us say sorry less and mean it more." I don't know if that's true, but I kept the card. At home I added one more page to our building folder. If the elevator stalls, breathe, call the number on the plate. Don't pry doors, text the chat stuck +4 + time. At the bottom I wrote, "We see you." Well, wait. It's amazing how much calmer people get when a sentence suggests there's a plan. MIA's name popped up again once, a forwarded invite to a group show in a different city. I marked it nice in my head. Dan made tea. The past is a room I can visit without moving in. By November the first cold snap hit. We topped up the salt bucket and taped a new walk like its icy sign next to the stoop. I taught Rowan the thing with radiator air valves I learned the hard way and asked Miguel for an extra key to the boiler room. He said no, grinning, like a man who respects boundaries. We added call Miguel, not Alex, to the winter page and circled it. The week before the holiday, the building had its first disagreement on the new cork board. Someone put up a guitar lesson flyer. Mr. L took it down to D, put it back up. I wrote house stuff only bigger. Then I left a smaller index card underneath. Music welcome in the laundry on Saturdays, 122. The guitarist added a sticker shaped like a treble clef and, on Saturday, played 3 songs. No one died. The dryer made a sweet metronome. This is what the ending looked like, if it's an ending at all. A Tuesday night where the hallway lamp catches motion at the right time. The door closer exhales instead of slamming. A neighbor returns the level and writes thank you without my name. Rowan texts suit, and I text back a photo of the pot. I sweep one small ring of water off the counter because I'm trying to leave fewer ghosts. The app ships without a fire drill. The city breathes like it's allowed. Before bed I take one lap. Lamp, stove, window, latch. I tuck a new page into the folder on the mutual shelf snowplan draft, and clip a pen to it. On the corkboard someone has pinned a postcard of a market stall full of scarves. No note. Enough of a note. I lock up, listen for the soft click I set the door to, and say the sentence that's less mantra now and more maintenance. It feels like tapping a thermostat or checking a smoke alarm, one small act that saves you later. I'm here.